JJK, today I found the following touching story online. An 80-year-old man brings his wife breakfast every morning in the nursing home. The woman has Alzheimer's and can no longer be cared for at home. A nurse at the retirement home asked him, "Is your wife worried if one day you don't come to bring her breakfast?" He said, "She doesn't remember, she's forgotten everything, she doesn't even know who I am. She hasn't recognized me for years." The nurse was surprised and touched at the same time. "That's very nice. Even though her wife doesn't recognize her, they bring her breakfast in bed every morning." The man smiled, looked her in the eyes and shook her hand. Then he said, "She doesn't know who I am, but I know who she is." Internet find, dream later I got tired, I lay down for a nap and I dreamed, I'm at an event, something musical is being performed. The atmosphere is relaxed and happy. A 14-year-old boy with Down syndrome sits down on my right knee. He has a very large head, impressively protruding eyes and short red hair. His head is so big that, despite some effort, I cannot see the stage. But I look at the boy's face from the side and he is beaming from ear to ear. He is clearly feeling good and does not want to give up his place on my thigh under any circumstances. Then a slightly younger, handicapped girl sits on my right thigh and enjoys the performance from this position. The fact that I am now only acting as a bench does not bother me at all, considering the joy the two are having. End of dream. My first thought when I wake up is, do what you want, I love you. And that is exactly how God looks at us humans. No matter what we do, how we appear on the outside, God simply knows who we really are and that is all that counts. Just as I knew that these two children are soulful and divine creatures, no matter what limitations they have to experience as human beings, God knows who we really are despite our self-limitations. That is all that matters in the end. Do what you want, I love you because I know who you really are. That is the message of the Alzheimer's story and the dream that follows. God is like the old man who brings his wife breakfast every day, even though she no longer remembers him. Do we remember God and will God let us fall despite our amnesia? Unconditional love is vividly conveyed and made understandable in these two scenes. Jesus Christ, you go through life as if you were dreaming. Some people dream evil, dark dreams, others rise above this world with light. Whatever a person does is a dream in this reality, because reality is beyond it. That is why everything is given to you. That is why God loves you so much and that is why you can never be lost forever. How could God not love you? How could the Creator blame you for not remembering yourselves or Him? How could the Creator punish you for something that eludes you? You are the ones who have descended of your own free will to experience this separation. Why should the Creator blame you if you forget yourself and commit ungodly acts? How could the Creator punish you if you err or cause harm, as only a consciousness separate from God can? How could the Creator withdraw His love from you when you serve creation most by renouncing the love of God for the duration of your earthly existence? You have forgotten who you are. A collective Alzheimer's has struck humanity and what does God do? God loves you all the more. Just as the love between two people is unaffected by external circumstances, and just as you took the two children into your heart in your dream, that is how God is when He spreads His love over people. Everything external fades away, what counts is what a person really is. JJK, then even the greatest criminals on earth could expect mercy from God? Jesus Christ, people who have completely surrendered to the darkness often provide the greatest service. Because people can only recognize themselves as light in the darkness. This contrast is needed for the blind to become the seeing. JJK, years ago I decided that I didn't want to suffer anymore. Spiritual growth can also take place without pain. I am deeply convinced of that. Since I explained this to myself and to heaven, I have experienced much less suffering and pain in myself and in those around me. It really works, or from another perspective, I don't worry so much anymore when things don't go well. More serenity, lightness, and permeability to the divine, that's how I would describe it. Changing your perspective doesn't make the suffering disappear, but it does make it more bearable. In summary, what you choose happens. The key is how you look at the world, and that needs to be constantly examined and adjusted. Experiencing small difficulties as great suffering or seeing great suffering as small difficulties, we have the choice, don't we? Love without suffering Jesus Christ. Everything is a matter of development and spiritual maturity. From a certain point onwards, the path is a joyful one and no longer a painful one. For many people, however, it is the experience of suffering that forges them and ultimately awakens them. Only when the person finally buys the return ticket to unity by completing the incarnation cycle does the suffering end and memory begins. Awakening is the process of breaking free from suffering and pouring into divinity. It is a process that begins when a person begins to feel the chains that have been placed on him life after life on this space-time plane, sees them as inappropriate, and breaks them in an act of self-empowerment. JJK, that means that as long as a person wants to remain in this Alzheimer's game, in which the memory of God is simply missing, he will have the experiences associated with it, and God loves the person unconditionally and unchangeably, no matter what acts someone allows themselves to be carried away by. Jesus Christ, creation is built upon these experiences, because only when gods perceive themselves as godless can unique experiences be created that benefit the entire universe. This enriches creation, expands consciousness, and makes it clear why the human species is honored beyond measure by all species. JJK, but what we humans do on Earth is often very questionable and deserves to be reprimanded. Responsibility requires awareness. Jesus Christ, anyone who has forgotten who he is cannot act as he is. Acting responsibly requires awareness. This is not always the case, and so people create negative karma until one day they can no longer bear the burden. They begin to ask the right questions and change their behavior. In the meantime, God stays by your side. God judges but does not condemn. God creates potential but does not judge. God knows that you have forgotten and knows when you will remember again. God loves you every day and every moment. This is the nature of His love. JJK, do what you want, I love you. So? This insight can really be applied to all people? That's all it's about. Jesus Christ, that is the essence of love on all levels of being. You don't have to approve of someone blocking your view of the stage. You don't have to like that your wife doesn't remember you looking at it with wisdom, and love is the way. That is what it is all about when the end of your incarnations is near, to remember who you are, to remember who your neighbor is. What is man really? Flesh and blood, or spirit and divinity? To look at each individual person with these eyes is to see him truly. So go and love man. Love what man is, and not what man pretends to be. Penetrate the deception, look behind the masks into people's hearts, and your gift will be heartfelt love.